Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the International Cooperation, Trade and Security Cluster Media Briefing following the State of the Nation address by His Excellency President Zuma on Thursday the 12th. This cluster is responsible for the implementation of the medium-term strategic framework as articulated in the Outcome 11, whose vision is to create a better South Africa, contribute to a better and safer Africa, and a better world. The government achieved these goals through a cluster system that ensures integration of all our work. This media briefing aims to amplify what President Zuma made during his State of the Nation address in the following observation. South Africa remains committed to contribute towards building a better Africa. This is demonstrated by continued support to peace and security and regional economic integration in the continent. The South Africa National Defence Force and the Police Service continue to participate diligently in conflict resolution and peacekeeping in the continent. South Africa continues to support conflict resolution initiatives in Lesotho, Sri Lanka, and South Sudan, led by Deputy President. Economic cooperation with our BRIC partners was strengthened when the first two intergovernmental agreements were concluded on the occasion of the Sixth BRICS Summit. Countries of the developed North remains important strategic partners of South Africa, through which the country is able to advance its national and foreign policy. We have a valuable partnership with the EU, European Union, in among others, the infrastructure investment program for South Africa valued at approximately 1.5 billion rands. The renewal of the African Growth and Opportunity Act beyond September 2015 and the pledge to support Africa-led peace initiative in the continent, among others, the significant outcomes of the United States Africa Leadership Summit held in the US last year. He also mentioned that at a multilateral level, 2015 marks the 70th anniversary of the United Nations, which brings into sharp focus the need to transform UN Security Council and other international institutions. This observation by President Zuma highlights the level of South Africa's commitment towards playing its part in creating a better South Africa by contributing to a better and a safer Africa in a better world. President Jacob Zuma led South African delegation that took place in January at the January 2015 African Union Summit, which was held in Ethiopia. This summit took further the discussion on the Agenda 2063, which is premised on aspirational pillars such as a prosperous Africa based on inclusive growth and sustainable development, an integrated continent politically united and based on Pan-Africanism ideas, an Africa of good governance, democracy, respect for human rights, justice and rule of law, a peaceful and secure Africa, an Africa with strong cultural and values and ethics, an Africa where development is people-driven, relying particularly on the potential of women and youth. The meeting was preceded by the June summit of the AU, which requested member states to consult domestically to ascertain the views of all our people across all sectors in this Agenda 2063. In South Africa, the consultations with government departments as well as the representatives of youth, academic and think tanks, women, civil society, business sector, and parliaments were convened. The stakeholders welcomed the African Union's decision to develop Agenda 2063. Furthermore, the consultations confirmed the urgency with which the stakeholders want the African Union and its member states to strengthen the implementation of policies aimed at improving the lives of ordinary Africans. Stakeholders emphasized that Africa should have the essential resources to attain these aspirations of Agenda 2063. The Agenda 2063 should be informed by the integration agenda pursued in regional economic communities and should build on the progress achieved in these RECs. The AU member states and the RECs are required to include the elements of this Agenda 2063 in their national and regional programs. His Excellency President Zuma also attended the World Economic Forum in Davos in the beginning of this year, with the delegation comprised of ministers and business leaders. This is an important forum to promote and profile the South African attractiveness as an investment destination of choice. South Africa remains a competitive business and investment destination despite the challenges in global economy. Our message was well received by investors. Ladies and gentlemen, President Zuma also led a successful state visit to the People's Republic of China from the 4th to the 5th of December last year. President also officially represented South Africa at the closing ceremony of the Year of South Africa 2014 in China and handed over the Year of China in South Africa 2015 to President Xi. The objective of the Year of South Africa in China 2014 was to profile South Africa's economic, political, and cultural achievements since the end of apartheid. This year, we'll also seek to explore more business and development opportunities and demonstrate South Africa's innovations and best practices in various areas such as science and technology, fashion, mining, arts and culture, tourism, and greater people-to-people interaction. Colleagues, a total of 52 economic diplomacy and image-building initiatives to promote national priorities have been undertaken. As an example, an MOU on economic and industrial cooperation was signed with Botswana, which provides a basis for advancing mutual beneficial economic cooperation and industrial development between the two countries. South Africa and Botswana will identify projects with the potential for the development of cross-border value chains in key sectors, including transport, mining, agribusiness, tourism, agriculture, leather, and processing of natural resources, among others. The year 2014 has been characterized by consolidation of democracy in SADC region. Since South Africa assumed the role of the chair of the organ on politics, defense, and security cooperation in August 2014, South Africa led SADC election observer missions in Botswana, Mozambique, Namibia, Mauritius, and Zambia. These election observer missions in these countries found that the elections were peaceful, free, and fair, transparent, and credible, thus reflecting the will of the people. Lesotho is expected to hold elections on the 28th of February this year. Our presence and representation at elections in the regions is a testament to our collective support for democratic norms and practices. South Africa participated at the recently held meeting of SADC ICT ministers in Malawi. This meeting considered new proposal to lower the cost to communicate in the region, focusing on roaming prices. The meeting adopted the Roam Like at Home program. We see the implementation of the wholesale and retail glide path effective from this year. The progressive glide path to cost-based roaming tariffs will be applied through the fee reduction by a factor of 67%, 33%, and 5% over the next 3 years. These will be, with this implemented reduction, consumers and citizens in the region will connect to one another cheaper, and this will contribute to more affordable broadband access and telephonic services. South Africa continues to broaden the market integration through the tripartite free trade area negotiations among 26 countries in the East and Southern Africa. The TFTA is expected to create a market of 625 million people and a GDP of $1.2 trillion US. We expect to take these negotiations further in the summit of head of state scheduled for May this year. The country also received over 3.9 million visitors, foreign visitors, generating over 20 billion rand in revenue. The tourism industry is a major contributor to South Africa's economic growth, jobs, and employment of our citizens. This shows that ongoing efforts to showcase our country as a tourist investment and destination of choice are bearing much needed fruits during this low global economic outlook. Tourism continues to contribute significantly to our economy. The industry's contribution to GDP has expanded by 200% since 1990. Tourism directly represents 3% of our GDP and support over 600 million jobs. 600,000, jobs, I wish. Including indirect impacts, tourism generates 9.7% of GDP and supports over 1.4 million jobs, supported over 1.4 million jobs last year. There is great potential for further growth as we move towards a goal of becoming one of the top 20 global tourist destinations by 2020. Our marketing investment strikes a balance between the growth in domestic, regional, Africa, and long-haul tourism, between traditional markets and emerging source markets, and between leisure, business, and event tourism. In September, South Africa Tourism opened a country office in Sao Paulo, Brazil, to serve the growing market of Latin America. Domestic marketing campaigns are being stepped up to get more South Africans to visit their own country. Over the past 5 months, much work has gone into planning to improve infrastructure that will enhance our destination offering to tourists with quality assurance embedded. This includes more detailed planning for a few tourism incentive programs, which will be launched the next financial year, as well as more focus leveraging on our expanded public works programs, investment in physical infrastructure and skills development. Ladies and gentlemen, South African government will continue to contribute to peacekeeping of the continent through various peacekeeping missions. Our involvement in the peacekeeping mission is premised on our appreciation that Africa's economic development agenda depends on the substance of peace and stability. The South African National Defence Force contribution to peace improves the lives of fellow Africans and the continent in general, guided by the objective of contributing to peace and stability in the continent. The SANDF continues to participate in the UN peace support operations in DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, and the United Nations African Union hybrid mission in Sudan. The SANDF also continues to provide military training assistance to other armed forces in the continent. This military training assistance is being provided to DRC, in which the combat and the combat support capabilities have been established. Elements of these forces have proven their combat skills along with other SADC forces during offensive operations of Force Intervention Brigade against M23 rebels. SANDF also provides military assistance to Angola and Namibia for naval control and guidance of shipping. Recently, the SANDF became part of the newly established African Capacity for Immediate Response to Crisis, which is an interim mechanism to assist in peace and security in the continent until such time that the African Standby Force is ready. In this regard, South Africa has pledged its continuous commitment to this force. Maritime security continues to be other key operation for SANDF at the east coast of Africa. The SANDF has successfully deployed 2 ships, SAS Makanda and SAS Isaac Choba, in the Mozambican Channel, which has been in operation since 2011. On disaster management, this year, the SANDF was involved in the operation to assist the people of Mozambique in the disaster relief efforts after the floods had threatened the survival and life of Mozambicans. South African National Defence Force successfully repatriated the last remaining mortal remains of South Africans who perished in a tragic accident in Lagos, Nigeria. This was the largest evacuation of South African citizens carried out by SANDF Force, the South African National Defence Force. The first draft of the new Partnership for Africa's Development NEPAD implementation and coordination strategy for South Africa is drawn up by the subcommittee of our Director General on NEPAD. The partnership is linked to the Presidential Infrastructure Champion Initiative. The draft global review has been released to AU member states for consultation on that document. A South Africa position paper was developed for the regional indicative strategic development plan, highlighting key elements reflected in the draft considered by the SADC summit. This is aimed at advancing and developmental cooperation and integration so as to achieve industrial development, infrastructure development, and market integration within SADC. Ladies and gentlemen, we made our contribution towards an equitable and just system by participating at the following meetings. 1, the United Nations Economic and Social Council High-Level Segment Annual Ministerial Review and Ministerial High-Level Political Forum that took place from the 7th to the 11th of July in New York last year. The Trade and Development Board 61st session of the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development held in Geneva from the 15th to the 26th of September last year. The Intergovernmental Committee of Experts on Sustainable Development Finance, which met from the 4th to the 8th of August last year. We also participated and advanced South Africa's position during the 27th session of the Human Rights Council held in Geneva in September last year. We remain committed to strengthening the South-South cooperation. Our contribution was also recognized in the second half of last year. For example, South Africa was endorsed as the chairperson of the Group of 77, G77, for 2015. Let me repeat that. South Africa was endorsed as the chairperson of the Group of 77, G77 by China for the year 2015 at the ministerial meeting that was held in New York last year. We attended the 6th BRICS Summit held in Fortaleza in Brasilia from the 15th to the 16th of July. We participated on the 23rd India, Brazil, and South Africa IPSA focal point meeting held in New York in September last year. The key outcomes of the 6th BRICS Summit was the signing of the first BRIC intergovernmental agreement, such as the agreement on the new development bank and the treaty on the establishment of the BRICS contingency reserve arrangements. A decision was reached that the headquarters of the new development bank will be in Shanghai, and that East African Regional Center will be established concurrently with headquarters in South Africa. In addition, 2 memorandum of understanding were concluded, that is cooperation among BRICS export credit insurance agencies and on innovation among BRICS interbank cooperation mechanism parties. Subsequently, a BRICS Shepherd meeting took place on the 21st of August last year to discuss the operationalization of the BRICS New Development Bank and the African Regional Center and East African Regional Center as directed by BRICS leaders in the last summit. South Africa continues to pursue value-added trade under the BRICS Forum to increase exports of value-added products. As an example of this, the midterm meeting of BRICS Business Council that took place 9 to 10 of February this year in Brazil. The BRICS Business Council was officially established, as you may remember, here in Durban in March 2013. The Council's aim is to create a platform that will strengthen and promote economic trade, business and investment ties among the business communities of BRICS countries. The midterm meetings serve as an opportunity to monitor the development towards adopting the second annual report covering 2014-2015 period at the 7th BRICS Summit, which will be held in Ukraine, Russia, in 2015 July. During the midterm meeting, working groups on energy and green economy, manufacturing, skills development, financial services, and infrastructure reported their advancement and proposal to the BRIC Business Council. The Business Council made advancement on the proposal related to a favorable business environment, trade in local currencies, business travel, trade facilitation, logistics and connectivity, technical standards, investment ties, and the new development bank. At the meeting, the new working group on agribusiness as well as deregulation and investment support were also adopted. At the September 2014, September 2014, grants amounting to 304 million rand were received through the Reconstruction and Development Program Fund account from the development partners. Foreign direct investment aligned to IPEP, beneficial to South Africa's interests from developed countries, is increasing. The total investment as at end of September 2014 was at 26.8 billion. South Africa continues to enhance economic relations with the countries of the North Engagements are continuing with the U.S. to advocate for the extension of AGOA, with the inclusion of South Africa, and for the sufficient period to allow for meaningful investment in view of mutual beneficial nature of AGOA, which not only benefits South Africa but also American companies based in South Africa. In conclusion, South Africa's foreign policy remains entrenched within the policy of Ubuntu, strengthening bilateral growth with international partners for investment and meeting its own developmental goal. Today, as we move towards hosting the AU summit, mid-year summit in June this year, we can confidently say that the cluster has achieved notable progress in meeting its outcome as reflected in our medium-term strategic framework. I thank you very much.